Good evening, everyone. William in here at 1799. Let you come around. If you like this video, please share. Hit that subscribe button down there. It really helps the channel out. And remember, First Amendment rights. Leave a comment. I'd like to hear from you. I'm going to crawl into this a little bit. Now, I'm not a constitutional attorney or a lawyer or any of that stuff. You want to know more about this, you could probably contact an attorney or someone that could really, break it down for you. Me, I just read the Constitution. If I don't understand a word or whatever it is that they wrote, I pull up a dictionary, or I get other information from the library, my computer, my laptop, phone, wherever it is I can find, give me the information, basically a dictionary. You could do the same. But let's crawl into this a little bit. The Supreme Court. The Supreme Court upholds the law of the land. That's their objective, is the Constitution and constitutional rights. In this 36 counts of this New York court that had convicted, Donald Trump, made 0 sense. We all knew that. But this is again part of the other things that are constantly ongoing with this mess. But they allowed, in his 5-4 decision, to allow the sentencing to commence. And his lawyers tried to do everything they can to try to put a stay on it, but it didn't work. Okay, but let's look at something for a minute here. Under the Constitution, Article 6, okay? Listen to this kind of minute. This is Article 6 that is explained. All debt, contracts, and engagements entered into before the adoption of this Constitution shall be valid against the United States under the Constitution as under the Confederation. This Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in prudence thereof, and all treaties made, or which shall be made under the authority of the United States, shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution or laws of any state or to the contrary notwithstanding. The senators, representatives before the mentioned, and the members of the several state legislatures, and all executive judicial offices, both in the United States and several states, shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution, but no religious test shall be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States. So what this means is basically, before the Constitution, there was the Confederation. The Confederation at the time of this country had no standing army, no bank account, no financial meanings. It was kind of basically had nothing except a government that we the people had. So states would constantly argue amongst themselves. They would fight amongst themselves, deny other people's rights from other states. This, or lock up people illegally just for whatever reasons, because you came to my state, whatever. You couldn't do trade in my state. You couldn't bring your horse to my state. You couldn't live in my state unless my state government allowed you to. Things of this sort. So the founders had an issue here. So what they had to do is come up with some way to fix this, and that's when they start working on this Constitution. But they also realize, as they're working on this Constitution, about the states and states' rights and so forth. Now, states do have a right to govern themselves, providing, as it states in this Article 6, does not override federal law. That includes the court system. So when state courts can turn around and do federal law, that doesn't make sense. If the federal court system turns around and says that there are 36 counts that are considered misdemeanors and all of that, there's a limitation on them, what is there to try? When you have a judge like Mershon and Albert Bragg, who's the prosecutor, can take these misdemeanors and turn them to a federal thing, it opens up a very serious situation, which what this has to say. Okay, what this all comes down to. So, when we crawl through this a little bit, there's another part to this. This is interesting. Article 6, Section 2 of the United States Constitution, also known as the Supreme Clause, establishes that the Constitution, federal laws, and treaties are the supreme law of the land. This means that they take prudence over state laws and constitutions. So in other words, did New York have really the authority to do what it did? No. They did not. It's also kind of like it prohibits states from interfering within federal governments and constitutional powers. Prohibits states from taking on functions that are executive responsibilities of the federal government. Very simple, huh? So why didn't the Supreme Court step in? That's a very good question. You would think they would, but they didn't. So I guess when we crawl into this a little bit, through this so-called sentencing, there's no probation, no jail time, and no fines. So what was the real outcome of this? The thing was to interfere with the election, period. That's all it was. It was to interfere in the election to make the people not vote for Donald Trump, but to vote for the other side. Now, since 2016, when Donald Trump's was being spied on by the FBI, to the DOJ, this Russia collusion thing that never really existed. And then you had the nonsense with the Mueller report, which made no sense, but you can download that and read it yourself. It's declassified. Then you go to the Ukrainian Film Club, which Adam Schiff made up something totally weird about it, and you can download that and read it yourself. He called it paraphrasing. I call it just outright lying about what was really written on there. Then you have this January 6th committee, which technically is illegal. And then you have witnesses hugging each other with the people trying this thing. Then you got Lisa James and her court trials trying to get him on this property deal, and then you got Albert Bragg, you got Michaud, all this nonsense. This lawfare government by the Democrats controlling the courts. What I found interesting, not to get off the subject level, what I found very interesting is when President Biden stood up on the podium on one of his speeches is that he said he was surprised and very disappointed that the courts didn't speed up process enough against Donald Trump. That's very interesting. Very, very, very interesting here. Why would he say that? There's sense, huh? All they wanted to do, all the Democrat Party wanted to do through the court system by using their public judge and whatever was to hang a guilty thing on him. They want to make him a convict. They want to make him, everything they can do. So they can imply, right, the 14th Amendment, Section 3, which means he'd be unqualified. Chuck Schumer has made it clear that they're going to stonewall his entire administration, which is going to hurt the people, by the way. But this is what the Democrats do. This is what they do. This is why they lost the election in the first place. You went against the American people with gun rights. You call us white supremacists. You call us neo-Nazis. You practically vilified everybody, from the working class person right on to people who own businesses. And it's a shame. This is why you lost. They want to make him a convict. They're going to hang his head up on a wall. But he can appeal this. I guess that's the reason why everybody's kind of like jumping ship in a way. I guess this is another reason why everybody is looking for preemptive pardons. Put the two together. I mean, if I was Donald Trump, I'd be suing everybody. I'd be suing every Dom, Dick, and Harry. But I would let the DOJ do their job. Let them do their job. If Chuck Schumer don't stonewall this, and the Democrats stonewall this, because they know what's at stake here. They're mad on many reasons. One of them is they didn't get their 1,500-page bill across, which included a lot of work in it, which also included their raises in it. And these Democrats and most of these rhino Republicans vote raises in the drop of a hat or a part-time job. Very much so. Yeah. But when states like New York can turn around and tell the federal system, well, if you're not going to try them on federal charges, we will, but they're misdemeanors. They're misdemeanors. But we're going to try them anyway. And statute of limitations don't work here. Which is why the federal system didn't want to go after Trump, because one, he was in the White House, and two, there's statute of limitations, and three, they're misdemeanors. But when Judge Rashan and Alvin Bragg decided to lead the crusade, just so to get a conviction to make him a criminal, well, that's what they did. Till then, keep your friends and family close. And understand what they're up to. The monster is awake. The monster is going to do it. Watch and see. Take care.